From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, a show about Star Wars, pop culture, and the ultimate adventure, life itself, life in the shadows. I'm Ken Napzok.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and I'm excited to be here for our Maul review discussion show, which we continue to call Maul and the Curse of Himself. He got a little cursed in these episodes, and I think he's got some more cursing to come.
He's got a lot of cursing to do and a lot of cursing to come. Indeed. We are going to dive in deep. That's what we do here for Relatively New. We'll talk about our favorite moments, talk about all that, but we love talking about what this show is about, what's it saying, what are the themes, and what does it connect to our lives, or how do we not want it to connect to our lives? Might be part of today's. Before we dive in, we always want to remind you that today's podcast is brought to you by our own merch shop on Fourth Wall. Check out our merch store and pick up a t-shirt to help support the show and represent ForceCenter out in the galaxy. Pint glasses, coasters, tote bags, a lot of stuff there. I think you even get you can order up a blanket or something. Maybe I'll add that. Let us wrap around you in the winter. Head over to forcecenter-shop.fourthwall.com, forcecenter-shop.fourthwall.com. Also, as we head towards Mandalorian and Grogu, we've established a nice little goal for ourselves, right, Joe?
That is right. We are reaching for a new reaching is a weird word. We're straining. our backs are making horrible noises as we strain and reach for a new Patreon goal. We would love to get to 400 paid subscribers by the time of Mandalorian and Grogu's release on May 22nd. We've had some new patrons join us in the last couple weeks, and that is great. This is sort of the big time for a Star Wars talking show like us. We got a new television show with Maul, and we got the excitement of a new film. So now is a great time for us to look for more people to join our community. You get access to our Discord where people have fun discussions about all things Star Wars and other stuff too. And you get access to call in to some of our live shows as well.
Indeed. The conversation is robust over there right now. And shout out to all of our ForceCenter friends who called in last week for our call-in show on Friday to share their thoughts on Maul's Well. We might have a shorter one Friday or maybe not one at all because it's my birthday weekend and I got to take a dog to a daycare center. So sorry, Star Wars. We're about to dive in. Joseph, you're going to lead us through these episodes 3 and 4 of a series that's almost halfway done.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? 10 episodes is short, but I really had to. Okay, so next week will be episode 5 and 6 across the halfway mark. Yeah. Really living up to the promise from the press releases that it's going to be a fast, brutal show. So today we are discussing episode 3, Whispers in the Unknown, written by Julia Cooperman and directed by Stuart Lee, and episode 4, Pride and Vengeance, written by Amanda Rose Munoz and directed by Nate Villanueva. Great, as always, to see some of the very familiar names, longtime people who have done great creative work in the Star Wars animation world. Julia Cooperman is a newer name to me, and it's fun to see Amanda Rose Munoz because I remember having a conversation about, hey, here's this new person who's come into the Star Wars animation world in Bad Batch. So it is great to see the continued generational evolution of Star Wars animated talent, and in my opinion, great to see some women writing these episodes.
Indeed, and I reacted to you saying the name. I kind of had overlooked the credits this time around. I don't want to say I'm relying on you to do that, Joseph. That wouldn't be right, but maybe I did this morning. But good reaction to that name. Love Amanda Rose Munoz's work last time in Bad Batch.
Yeah, and I think it is great with Devin is such a central character to have some of that psychology going on here, as well as just being talented writers. Amanda Rose Munoz did some great episodes for Bad Batch, as I recall. So we are into the first 2 episodes. Maybe they're a little bit of a setup. Great stuff, but for us, kind of all in Star Wars fans, a lot of the table setting that we had expected. But people still love them. We still love them. But now we're getting into, okay, the story's moving. And I feel like maybe the scope of the story started to become a little bit more clear of okay, if this is where we're at by the end of episode 4 out of 10, this is kind of the shape and the movement of this series. So how did you react to these 2 episodes? Big picture. We'll get into the dark side weeds, but big picture, like it, love it, struggle with it. Where were you at?
Oh, man, really love it, Ed. Yeah, you're right. We're moving, baby. We're moving and grooving. The story's going. Episode 4 was one of my favorite Star Wars episodes. Episode 3 is great as well. They work so well together as a pair. Episode 4 is one of my favorites. And sometimes when I say that, it carries some deep, poignant moments that attach directly to my life. And this might have that. But there's just something about this episode that was just very Star Warsy, but also it took the time. In fact, both these episodes in a series that was promised to be whip bang, whip smart, whip zippy serial adventure, and it moves so fast. It does. This episode, these two episodes, really took their time to show these little great moments of humanity or a pause. It's not just about a ship flying in, but the angle on from the police cruiser ship looking out, or size from Brander Lawson. He's a good sire. He's got a lot going on.
There's a lot of good science. This is a big science show.
Sign indeed. So I really love that, and I also just love another. It has this show's provided another interesting look at the sprawling empire during this time and what people think about it. And I will acknowledge the elephant on my head for those watching. I pulled out the old Imperial cog helmet that I've said before. I stopped wearing because it went from you like Star Wars to, oh, do you like fascism? So I try to represent the rebels. In fact, I got a new rebel mug for my birthday. Our buddy Ken Plume sent me a rebel insignia mug. But I don't know. I just had fun and just being like, oh, the bad guys are here. The Empire's here. And I kind of forgot that, even though they're in the trailer, even though the Inquisitors are there. I had this thought in like episode 3, like, oh man, this might not be about the Empire directly. And then I was like, well, that's stupid. Again, I saw the trailer. But when they showed up at the end, I got some little Star Wars nerd chills.
Yeah, I mean, I think Maul is the latest in a series of Star Wars storytelling that I feel like has done a much different job of the way that we are asked to feel about the Empire. And to use your great wrestling terminology that I have added to my own vernacular, put the Empire over much better, right? Not even better, just differently. Like we've talked about this before, but Rebels, I think, was a balancing act when it started. It wanted to talk about fascism and oppression, and it does very, very well, but also wanted to start gently and be like, is this your first Star Wars? Are you 7 or 8? Well, we'll lead you into this. And you felt Ezra's pain, but Imperials were dudes that you could mostly make trip over a bucket and steal their helmet. And, know, a lot of the ones you met in the very beginning of Rebels were clowns. And I understand why, and I'm not criticizing it.
No.
But with Bad Batch, with Andor, with now with Maul, it's so great to have lived with this franchise for myself for decades. And it's not just, oh yeah, the Empire's going to show up. There's some stormtroopers. They'll miss some things when they take shots. It's like hell on earth is coming to you to Janix, right? You are already in misery, and now you're just going to live in utter despair. The absolute horror of the arrival of the Empire is such good storytelling and such good just emotional storytelling. The amount of dread that is built up in these episodes about the horror of the Empire.
Absolutely love what you're saying across the board. First of all, I love that retroactively you've created the Yoinks division of Stormtroopers in Star Wars, and I think those exist. Man, this almost could be an episode maybe after Maul ends and we dive in deeper to what the series did. But I really love what you said about Bad Batch, Andor. Throw in maybe Rogue One there. I don't know, but it's just more recent stuff of Bad Batch, Andor. Now that is. Given the Empire its proper due as a bad organization that should be feared. And it's similar to some of the stuff you have said in the past that I agree with Ed Mandalorian, where even though it's set outside the New Republic and this and that, when X-Wings show up, people are afraid. That's the authority. That's it's in a good way.
Power, yeah.
Power. They're the X-Wings. These underworld guys are still afraid of those X-Wings. I thought that was a great use in that series, and this is kind of the extreme end of that. When that Star Destroyer flies over, not only is it just like make you think of New Hope or Empire Strikes Back, and I'm glad they didn't use the Imperial March, more on that maybe later, but it's absolutely everything that we want the Empire to be, as you said. Put them over as a very, very, very evil threat.
Yeah. It makes you feel like you watch these episodes where like we have different opinions and moral connections with all of these characters, but it feels like, man, why didn't you guys just drop everything and try to stop this? Which I think is what the episode wants us to feel, and we'll talk more about that. Some of my big picture stuff, I mentioned this on our news show, but I think the show is many things. It's a gangster show, it's a noir show, but it is also a horror show, and some of the trailers went hard on the horror. And I feel like these episodes, particularly episode 3, which I think maybe I enjoyed even more because it was so lean and mean and horror based. I just loved a little bit more of the horror aesthetic. There's a sudden door close on Devin, and a great horror screech goes with it. Maul in the shadows. It's just there's just a lot more of a sense of just like horror and dread. And this is maybe sort of a thematic discussion, but it's also just a literal truth of the show that I really felt in these 2 episodes is like everything is sewer. This is very sewer and bowel based shows, not actual human bowels, because I don't know if Maul even has those anymore. Poor guy.
It's a good question to ask.
He's got robot bowels. It's so, hey, it's a metaphor, but we really mean it, that we're all living in the sewers. We're all living underneath. The fact that Maul's base is in, it's kind of this Batman abandoned carnival aesthetic of like, well, that part of the city isn't used anymore, but it's mostly down in the sewer, and him trying to seem so lofty of like, look at my tea with the traditional, service and cups, but I'm sitting in a sewer. Devin's the chase there is Devin literally trying to climb out of the sewer and ascend. We learn that Devin and Master Doki also live under a street hole cover, also in a sewer. Brander, when he goes to see his kid's game, rejects sitting in the light and in the stands and stays hidden, skulking in a tunnel with a little literal line, "No, I'm fine down here, man." It's like the opposite of Pennywise the clown trying to trick kids into coming down to the sewer. If we all float down here, "I'm fine down here, man. Everything's fine." And then you add to all this sort of like everybody's stuck in the sewer and the bowels of this city, the shadows, Maul keeps throwing his shadow literally over Devin. You're both episodes, you're just sort of battered with images of like, can't climb out, stuck underneath. And then if it wasn't bad enough that you're in hiding, you can't tell anyone who you really are, then the shadow of the Empire comes over, and Sewer City now just becomes like, now the whole planet's one big sewer. It's the amount of imagery that just reminds you of these are the stakes. Is you're stuck underneath, and now you're even more stuck underneath with the Empire here.
First of all, at one point you made me want to yell "turtles in a half shell" as Devin and Master Doki go down. And if you're relatively new to ForceCenter, this is one of those moments when Justice says something and you go, "Holy shit! Yeah, I hadn't really thought of that." It's all under the shadows. I love that. It's like it's a pyramid, but not the one you want to be under, right?
Yeah, no.
It just builds to the top. No, well done, well said.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those moments that I think you can be analytical about it, and it's fun to be analytical about it, but it is just baked into the visuals, the sound, and it makes you feel it, which is just a fantastic feeling of shadowy sewer horror.
Absolutely.
Also, we'll talk about favorite action moments, but there was more action, even more action in these episodes. How do you feel about you were talking about the quiet moments of breath in between, but there's some kind of big action set pieces in these episodes. How did you feel about those?
Absolutely loved them. I think that's why I reverted to Imperial Hat Ken from 15 years ago. Just want to play with some cool toys. I mentioned on our live news show, First Reactions on Monday, of just Maul being a badass and us being able to maybe put aside our theme breakdown Star Wars Souls for a second, and just I was like, oh, he did that move. Oh, that was cool. Oh God. Oh, this is why I buy the figures of him. Like, and I think it's okay to live in that. It's okay to celebrate that. That's why we come here. But even the shootout, it's we have we're pulling from a lot of things, and there's a lot of pull out from I think Batman stuff, and I'd love to one day do just an episode with you of Maul as the Joker, because I'd like to know more about that. I think this I think it's great. But that it reminded me of stuff from Heat. Like we got Michael Mann influence here. It was really, really fun to watch for something that is grimy and in the shadows. As a Star Wars fan, I really enjoyed those set pieces.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is in the writing, of course, and in the choreography and things that have been there. in Star Wars
Mhm.
animation. But I also just think it is like the way this this show is put together, just the actual animation, that the blur on the lightsabers, the kind of hand drawn,
Mm.
just the grittiness of everything. Also the audio, like I know they've talked about, they did some different stuff with the lightsaber where Sam Witwer's scream is embedded in there. We'll talk about the whispers that
Mhm.
the subtitles credit to Maul's lightsaber later. But I wonder how much they recorded new blaster bolts even,
Mm.
and having spent a decent amount of time doing sound mix for film stuff, I almost feel like they turned up the volume 1 or 2
Mm.
dBs, and like, man,
Mm.
it's so much to learn about how the difference between, like, I'm going to bump it up from 0 dBs to 5 dBs, how much more sound punches you in the gut. In some of
Mm.
that more intensity, I wonder if they did, like, just literally turn up the volume on some of the sound
Mm.
effects.
That'd be a great conversation to have with some of the folks over there, isn't that? Yeah, I agree with you on the sounds, the Maul, like the Maul screams in the middle of the fight, all that stuff that, like you said, might be coming from the blade. That's amazing, and I remember we're saying that. But I want to highlight too. We always talk about how this looks, the presentation, and that this classic, more painted style that shows up with it. I've enjoyed that, but not any the it hit me. I'll just say it hit me really hard when they had that real close up on Maul's face, and it's like, not that he had face paint on, but like
Texture.
that look, that texture, yeah, it just
Yeah.
it really drove it home to me that the style here is pretty special.
Yeah, and there's an establishing shot, I believe, at the beginning of the second episode that started on like a moon that wasn't trying to hide that it was in oil painting. It looked
Right.
dreamlike and fabricated, in a beautiful textural, organic way. So yeah, continues to be a joy to just watch and listen to, as well as having meaning. So any other big picture thoughts before we dive into the ideas?
Checking, and no. I got it. Like I said, just the great moments of humanity in the episodes just kind of makes those action sequences pack a bigger punch and stuff like that. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Last thing for me, I said this on the new show, but I want to repeat it here too. I continue to believe that it makes thematic sense for Vader to show up, maybe by the end of the season, maybe in a later season. And I'm really interested in all those ideas. I think this is so much about Maul's trauma of being raised by a horrible figure in Sidious who makes him feel like he is nothing, that he is filth, and that Maul is trying to overcome that by proving he is Hunter, he is fear, he's the leader. And Vader has gone through some of the same manipulation from that cruel dad. So I feel like there's a real thematic reason for Vader to show up, as well as a plot reason, with Maul being kind of a main target. But also just with how beautiful this animation is, I feel like almost greedy of like, I want to see Vader in this animation. I want to see Vader fight in the way this show shows Darksiders fighting.
You said that on Monday and it resonated with me, and now you're making me think too of like what we would definitely want to see Palpatine, a smeared texture version of Palpatine.
Yeah, just come on, big grimy
Yeah.
oil painting of his rotten
Yeah.
yellow teeth. Come on, close up.
Yeah.
Give me a teeth close up of Palpatine. I'll be a happy fellow. All right, let's talk big picture ideas, what these episodes were about. I'll start here, Ken. I do feel like these are not episodes of the week, or these aren't like separate Clone Wars arcs. This is a continuing show. So I think for me, some of our thematic discussion is going to be, how do the big picture themes continue to express themselves or get developed. So for myself, I thought one of the biggest themes is a thing we talked about last week, was this idea of choosing your identity. And I feel like these 2 episodes really kind of zeroed in and twisted the knife on that idea of how do you define yourself to yourself, and how do you define yourself through being seen in the eyes of others. I thought the episode 3, Whispers in the Unknown, in particular, like, part of the reason I liked it, it was just so clean. It was from beginning to the end with Maul and Devin, of Maul asking Devin who she is, literally with the name thing of starting with, I don't even know your name. Haha, actually I do. And then everything Maul is doing and talking about is with her. Almost all the manipulation is about identity, as well as Maul's great offer to let himself be the version that Devin wants to see. I thought that was a fascinating and great twist on discussing identity. Wasn't just Maul manipulating her about her identity. It was Maul being strangely fluid about his own identity in a way, which I'd love to talk about that for a minute, and we can get into bigger things. So when he brings her in, he's having a tea. And I'm really fascinated with like Maul was used as a weapon. Part of him is just savage and furious, but I think part of him was really like, no, but I was well educated, I was well trained, I have visions of destiny, I can be a grand master with grand plans, which all seems like I can be just as good as my cruel father, Palpatine, the father figure, Sidious. So it feels to me really telling of like, instead of brute force, let me start with tea and a soft voice and checking on your wounds. But then this sort of angry disappointment right away of, oh, you don't want to let me manipulate you in the cool, sophisticated grandmaster way that I would like. You want me to be a terrifying shadow haunting you in the dark. So fine, I can do that too. The specific lines from him: I can tell that you are settled on who you believe I am. Would you like me to be that person? And then when Devin steals his blade, with a great, doubling of his voice, that's good. I can work with that, but you won't like it. All sorts of stuff to talk about with his manipulation of Devin. But I just really wanted to start, because this is Maul Shadowlord, on this idea of Maul being a little fluid with his identity. He wants power and he wants control. But what did you make of him saying, hey, it would make me feel better about myself if you allowed me to seduce you in the way that I would like to seduce you, in the way that I would like to define myself. But you're not going to let me. You're going to make me revert to, the basics: shadow hunting, cutting, yelling, terrifying. So how did you feel about that?
It's almost as if Maul's like trying to play outside of his skill level a little bit, and he's really upset. Like, I am a grand wizard of the Sith dark side. Like, here's what I wrote. I wrote the slippery slope of self-actualization. Actualization? I can't say all those words in the morning. Self-actualization. And this is what happens when it tramples over you and over who you are and who you might be. I think there's a lot we're going to discuss probably beat by beat of the things Maul is selling, and he's selling a trap, but he's marketing it as freedom, right? And I see and hear so much pain in the character of Maul that you just want to give him the hug that he only gets from Kenobi at the end of his life. I think this episode's very much about parenting gone wrong and parenting going wrong, and then you see that all the way through. But I mean, Maul's when he kind of said, my daddy Sidious murdered everyone in my life, including my dreams. Like, in a weird way, you feel for him. And then it made me write down that this whole thing was about it's an idiot's guide to what to do when you've been wronged. He just makes nothing but mistakes. And so he has the desire, I don't want to say desire to be better, but he can't get out of his own way. The title of our review series here, like you said, and here in Devin, even though he's selling this, you can choose your own destiny, you can get back what you want, you can get power, you could be a better version of yourself. He is almost knows, and she doesn't allow him to be a better version of himself, if that makes sense. To your point of like him going, all right, screw it, I'll do. You want it? You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Like he's. And that's what he's comfortable with. Not that I buy everything about the tea. I don't think this is 100% true for him. But you know what I mean? I'm just like, he's been so wronged, and he has this vision of who he wants to be, and he just can't get there. It kills him. It hurts him. He's just a hurt puppy.
I think that's what really struck me about it is he's going to get to his goal of he wants her angry. I mean, you can watch it quickly and go, oh, Maul got exactly what he wanted. He wanted to push her on these points. He wanted to make these points so they lodge in her head and she's thinking about him. And he wanted to push her to be aggressive and to feel that burst of power from her anger. And you know, kind of just a normal dark side Star Wars seduction and be like, 2 thumbs up, Maul. What makes it complicated is he starts out with the like, I actually want you to calmly see that we are the same. I would like some empathy from you. Oh, you're not going to give me any empathy, so we'll just revert back. And I feel like it's a constant human truth, but I think about it a lot more with the lives that we live online, maybe being a little different than the lives we live in person, and the way a lot of our lives are tied up in branding ourselves on social media. That I feel like there's something just very particularly real and powerful about you state to the world, this is who I am. From my own life experience, at a certain point in my life, I decided, you know what? I just feel more like a Joseph. I feel more comfortable when people call me Joseph than Joe or Joey or whatever. And I'm going to ask that. And most people allow that. And there are some people who don't. There's some people who feel like Joseph's like a fancy, full of yourself name. What Joe's, you know, too basic for you? Is that
you too good for Joe?
You too good for Joe? You too good for solid Joe? There's like, I've gotten this from people where it's like my choice of my own identity and my name is like somehow I'm being like, well, I only drink with my pinky out. My name is Joseph. And like, well, I bet you got soft hands. And anybody won't allow themselves to be called Joe. And like, that's just my own personal example of it. But I just feel like a lot of people go through this where our identities are ours to decide. But we get pushback saying you can't be that, you shouldn't be that, because other people don't see us as who we see ourselves as. And then you have to make this very hard decision about how much do I dig in and say, no, I define me, or how much do you accept I am defined by other people's perceptions of me. And I felt bad from all like, keep drinking the tea, keep going for the empathy instead of just going, fine, I'll be whoever you want me to be. And I'm sure he's patting himself on the back for a victory, because in terms of like just Star Wars seduction, it was. But in terms of Maul going, I want to choose who I am, he got slapped and he gave up.
I know. I agree with that. I think we're at a similar reading. And by the way, it was dangerously close to the first time ever you go and Maul's right. I'm a little worried, but I'm going to pull you back. You're going to have a red blade going on. Yeah.
I don't think he's right. I think he wants to seduce Devin. It's just like he's like, I would like to do crime in the way that makes me feel most like myself. And like, well, if you're going to do crime anyway, at least be true to your identity. But it is a little crack of if she gives me empathy, maybe we can forge something real. I don't think he consciously believes that, but I think that's the tragedy of him. Down deep in his soul, he does want empathy. And if Devin said, oh man, you're right, you have been through hell too, and I never thought of it from your perspective, but does a door start to open for all? Probably not. But it is him doing an awful thing and being untrue to his identity, and also Devin understandably closing the door to maybe the tiniest crack of this guy maybe changing, which we know he's not going to.
Yeah, no, this is a great discussion, because I think, I agree with you. I think Maul probably thinks he's playing 4D chess, but you're also, and in a way he does, like I said, he kind of is getting what he wants. But yeah, I know you're not doing that. I'm not putting anything on Devin, because in that situation, I think she's, rightfully wary and slightly maybe afraid or trying to get out. Like, there's a lot of things that are probably racing through her mind. She's sitting in front of, like, they probably taught this in the Jedi Academy. We talked about this a little bit. Like she knows him. So at some point, some people were like, let me tell you about what happened. You ever heard of Qui-Gon Jinn? Let me tell you. And I think so. She's doing what I think I would do myself. It's understandable, but I agree with you of just like, it's a philosophical question, because sometimes, like you and I say, like Star Wars is not landing on, if you were just nice to Maul, you would have solved all the problems, but it's landing on, here's an example of the idea of empathy and where you can meet someone and maybe what could that do. I think it's a fantastic philosophical moment in the show. And at the end of the day, yeah, Maul's gonna maul. That's why I wrote down the idea of an idiot's guide to what to do when you're wrong. He has been wronged so many times, and then just continues to wrong himself as he goes forward.
Yeah. And to be fair, I don't think really Devin did anything wrong. It's not it is not Devin's job to be emotional support for Maul.
Right.
Because she has every reason to be terrified. She was captured by this monster who she knows is a Sith and a murderer. I'm sure that was the Qui-Gon and other Jedi and many other just random innocent people. He's sending the Jedi Temple. Here's a video of me cutting people's heads off so Kenobi will come play. Like he's a terror, and I think she is right to go like, oh, I see through the tea and empathy routine.
Yeah,
you're a murderer, and I know you're trying to seduce me, and I'm not gonna be here for it. And I think her challenge is, does she resist that in a way that remains healthy for her, or does she give in to her anger? Does she let him lodge these thoughts into her? And I think he does. So I would love to talk about your ideas of what exactly Maul is saying to seduce her, and how much it's warping Devin's identity or reinforcing what she wants her identity to be.
Yeah, I think it starts for me with the idea of I said he's selling a trap, but he's putting the stickers of freedom around it. And this the whole situation with the Pikes, which we can get into I'm sure later, but even when he promotes you, and this makes me think a lot of his march towards Solo a Star Wars story and things we might get from his management skills. Even when he promotes you, congratulations. And it's not unlike Vader. It's not unlike we saw in Empire Strikes Back. That I get. I give you power and control, but you answer to me, and they're afraid. So that's kind of the top line for me is like, you're in charge now. Ain't that great? I'll kill you just like I killed him. And even Devin. One of my, this is maybe a favorite moment to talk about later, but I just maybe went into this. This is on me. I went into this thinking, whether or not Devin falls or Devin doesn't, or who she becomes, and all those speculations that's in my head. But I don't really worry about that. But I just thought, oh, okay, he's seeking an apprentice. He's going to maybe seduce her to the dark side of the Force. That's going to be great. But it's not a straight line, and I just love that. And maybe other people, maybe you could have thought beyond what I just pulled out of the trailers. I was just lazy on it, I guess. But Devin gets out. She's gotten out a couple times now. She goes away, and he has a line, I knew you'd come back. And again, he 4D chess in Maul's brain. But Devin gets out, and it's I think she feels, even though she admits it's hard, she tells her master it was hard. I think there's kind of this like, you did this yourself. You got out of this tough situation. And that feels like, feels like self-confidence, feels like being you're supposed to be, feels like saving yourself, feels right. It might feel right, even though she's in a scary situation. And I just, this idea of selling anger, selling vengeance, selling attacking as action for yourself. And him coming, so Devin obviously clouds, and it's maybe a bigger point, but clouds vengeance with the duty of the Jedi. And I think the show asks later on, like, all right, who's right? I think we know on paper who we want to say is wrong, but to remove the vengeance from it, is she, from another point of view, is Devin inspiring Master Daki? Like, let's be the Jedi we're supposed to be? Conversation a little bit later in the show. But I think she's taking that stuff there, right? That's what Maul's doing. He's stirring it up. You survived? Oh my God, you survived Order 66. How'd you do that? Not a lot of Jedi did. And this is what you've done? This is what you've done with yourself? You keep doing nothing? Look what he tells Kenobi later on in Twin Sons in his final moments. Look what you've become. Kenobi says, look what I've risen above. It's one of our favorite moments in that episode, one of my favorite moments in the lives of those two characters. And so to see it just kind of all wrapped up in this idea to Devin of like, who are you? Oh, wait, I guess what? I knew who you are the whole time, and this is who you are. A powerful force. Use your power. Get out. It's all in you. I'm not trapping you in. You can figure this out. Vario's trapped. He ain't got the power you have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and I think for all my criticism of Maul just sort of allowing himself to revert back to fearsome shadow and
Right.
screen manipulations, I do think he is like, I got a little time, I can work this, and I can work her, and I think he is doing a little bit more of the real life wisdom that I believe in mentoring people of, or teaching people or kids of like, give people the information and crack the door open, and the person has to walk through the door themselves, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
goes for like learning things, and it goes for manipulating people too. Of
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, I think it's really great to go and rewatch. I don't remember which episode it is, but early on in Maul's return with Savage, where Savage kind of is like, "We're brothers, we're partners, right?" And Maul gets real mad and go like, "No, it's a master and apprentice," and he kicks his brother's ass and goes, "Remember, I'm the
Mm-hmm.
master." And I think that's the savage, brutal side of him. Now he's like, "Oh no, 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 no! I didn't
Mm-hmm.
just crack the door and let Savage walk through. I punched him in the face and threw him through the door." And I think what he's doing with Devin is like, I'm going to put all these ideas in you. I'm going to let you feel powerful. And that fight is really well constructed in that way to let Devin feel a little bit more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think his essential manipulation is starting with similar to what Palpatine does to Anakin of, we're more alike than you think. There's not that big difference between the Sith and the Jedi, but he starts with that sort of empathy pitch of, Sidious killed my entire family and threw me out of the institution. Hey, he basically killed all the Jedi. Sidious killed your entire family. Sidious took away both of our
Right.
having any purpose, which is also kind of taking away our identity. And don't you want to fight to take your identity back? Don't you want to, be powerful, stand up? Exactly what you said. I think it's so great of the, you are really powerful. You survived when Jedi didn't. And Jedi are supposed to go out and do things and help people. And you're just hiding in the shadows. And it all sounds great until you realize, hey, you know what? Devin is fighting. She's literally trying to ascend out of the darkness of your sewer. And in your speeches of freedom, you keep throwing your shadow literally back over her. So I just love that contrast between what he's saying of, you should take power. You are free. No, you're not. I'm blocking your entrance. I'm casting my shadow over you. Uh, we know that all of this ends with, you make all these choices, Devin, to feel more powerful, to feel more free. But in Maul's mind, all of that ends with, I'm making you my weapon. So we know it's all going to sour, but it is really powerful manipulation, because maybe Devin will take part of it. Maybe Devin, as she does in the second episode, just hears the return to my purpose, fight, and only stays that far along in the manipulation. But I think the rest of the series is going to be about Maul going like, okay, well now you've let the anger in. You've admitted it's a different time and you need to use different, harsher tactics. You feel powerful because you're taking action. Now what is, I think where we're headed.
Yeah. There's a lot he's doing. I mean, he's doing some great work here in terms of really just kind of misusing good ideas as bad and selling as Devin. This is why it's been fascinating. And there's you mentioned the stuff of hey, the Jedi did this, or the Palpatine, excuse me, Sidious did this to the Jedi just like he did this to me, and all those kind of things. And there's just kind of this like he's putting the blame on the system, and we know the system is flawed, and that was the prequels and everything. But he's putting the blame on them to her. Trying to make sense of this as they go. He's telling Devin, the Jedi let you down, as opposed to saying Sidious did a bad. You know what I mean? So if she's that happened because the Jedi didn't protect you. Again, this episode to me is a lot about, in the series, but episode's a lot about parenting gone wrong. And so, right, they didn't do good by you, right? They didn't. So everything, and they held you back, and we've seen this. This is base level dark side seduction. They didn't do right by you, as opposed to focusing on the choices that Sidious has made, and he does in his own life. But even then, I think Maul's going to continue to blame someone. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was just, I like seeing it that way because she also says the truth. You're a murderer. And it's shades of Krennic.
Yeah, it's a really
Got to start
great
somewhere.
moment. Yeah,
got to start somewhere.
We're gonna get to that. Yeah, and I feel like this first episode that we're talking about is a great manipulation because he loads her up with these things. We'll probably repeat myself in the favorite action moments, but I love that he does. So he does the kick at her head followed up by the leg sweep. And the first time he gets her and she falls down and she gets mad, she stands back up, and he does the exact same move again. He kicks at her head and then he tries the leg sweep. And this time she's onto him and she jumps over the leg sweep and force pushes him. And so, like, even in the fight, he's like, I'm trying to make you both frightened of me, and I'm going to try to make you feel like you can actually beat me because look, you're learning. I thought that was a really cool, great, subtle thing in the choreography, but also we know Maul's end is trying the same moves on Kenobi, being manipulated into repeating his choreography moves is how he dies. So it's a good, like, wow, you all those years ago, you knew repeat the fight moves to manipulate this apprentice and make them feel more powerful. And eventually you get killed by repeating your own moves, which is really powerful. So I think he does this great manipulation of her. He lodges all these ideas in her head. He lets her feel like she escaped and makes her feel power. And then I think he knows that she's going to come back with Master Daki. And, he's talking in the second episode when they have their back and forth about the Jedi kind of letting everybody down by being too passive and, being unwillingness to fight is what makes you weak. He's saying all these things to Daki, but it's entirely for her benefit, right? Because he just wants Daki to die one way or another, but wants to make her continue to think on this theme of what is the purpose of a Jedi? Is it to take action or not? And what kind of action? Is it forceful, angry, violent because it needs to be in this dark era? Or is it calm and measured and creative and all those things,
Yeah, and he has a great moment, I think, in the third episode, in the initial interaction there, that how does it feel to wield that lightsaber? Kind of like that. Like, hey, you took mine, but how does that feel? But he sells it to me. He couches it as you're with this in your hand, you're connecting to your power and your potential. He is a self-help guru gone wrong, or maybe they're all wrong from the starting point. He's got, again, 10 points to realizing your full potential, which is not bad. Like, hell, I'm in therapy. I got a note right here. This is, I need to prove of me. That's not about dark side. That's about mom. So, we could all hear that stuff and go, yeah. And so you take that moment and connect it to what you're talking about. I love when he's like, uses the word passive, Jedi and your passive ideology, and how that now, can connect back to the lightsaber moment. And you're not using your power, and that makes you weak. And Maul saying the Jedi survive but don't live. But the question that you would ask him, and the question that I think Daki would represent, is, but who are you living for, man? We live for others. We live on empathy. We live for using our powers and skills for the benefit of others. You are living for yourself. You're filling that hole with power that will not do the job. And I think that's some of the stuff that just is running all through this episode.
Yeah, no, I agree. One other quick thing about this kind of question of choosing your identity. I thought that was also really present in the Pride and Vengeance episode with Maul's attack on the Pikes. All of it was about identity. This show is so back and forth about these characters are hiding in the shadows, and they don't really want to be, but they are also hiding for the Empire. And of course, Daki would rather just go to Brander and tell him I'm a Jedi, but he's got that great exchange of like, why didn't you tell me a Jedi? I was like, well, I think it's pretty obvious because I'm hunted and I have to live in the sewer, So there's this kind of back and forth between like the smart thing to do is hide and be in the shadows, but all these characters want to grab their agency. And Maul's attack on the Pikes is all about identity and deception, right? Vario is lying to get Marg Krim in there. The Night Brother masquerades as Maul. And then when Maul gets to come out loud and furious and, say, I am the leader, like that's the identity he wants. Like, this is who I really am, but he can't really get it loud and proud. He gets it with all this lying and deception. And so it's just a great tangle of, who do you want to be, and can you be yourself out loud?
Mm,
You know,
Maul's living loud.
Maul's living back and forth from the quiet and the
Yeah.
loud. Can't decide
Yeah.
which one he wants. I'd love to dive in a little bit deeper on what we've been talking about with the Jedi and their questions of identity. And I think this also goes to kind of that larger theme that we talked about in the first 2 episodes of the show, about all of these characters have systems of, this is the way that we do things traditionally, but now we're in this horrible new reality, and how much do we cling to the old ways versus how much do we adapt? And I think everything going on with the Jedi was really about clinging to the old ways, and do we get our identity from the old ways of I loved when Devin, I loved the lightsaber relationship of Maul kind of offering half of his lightsaber to her, basically, and then saying like, "No, I need that back for now." And it felt like Devin's relief being given her lightsaber back by Master Daki, and she says, "Thank you for keeping it safe." It felt like she had that, like, I got angry, I had a red blade. I'm happy to be back to my blue blade. This is correct, but also just that sort of like, in a time where some Jedi immediately threw away their lightsabers because it's a tell, right? They don't want to be traveling with them. And of all of our various Order 66 survivors we've seen, it seems like Devin and Daki don't want to give up the old ways, and like very happy to be reconnected with her lightsaber is one of those sort of clinging to the old ways things. And then I love the conversation that Devin has, is basically convinces Master Daki of like, Master Daki is the one who's like, well, we're not the Guardians anymore. That's not the way the galaxy sees us, he says, which is, I think, a great canonical reminder of it. It wasn't just that the Jedi were killed, is that Palpatine convinced the entire galaxy they were traitors and threats. Yes. And the cause of some of this misery in the Clone Wars was actually those damn Jedi who wanted power. But it's a great statement from Master Daki of like, I don't get to choose who I am. The galaxy thinks the Jedi are this. And then she's like, no, the Jedi are about protecting people. We can't just sit idly by. We have to use our power to protect people. There's good people on Janix. We are the few people who have the power to stop Maul. It is our responsibility to use our power and protect people, which I all think is like great pro Jedi stuff, true Jedi stuff. It's the kind of stuff that Luke and Obi-Wan and Yoda all wrestle with, and Rey even wrestles with it for a beat in Rise of Skywalker, of like, every time I raise my blade, it just seems to cause more conflict. So I should just step away. And then they're constantly reminded of like, you need to be very careful about the action you take. But that's what being a Jedi is using your power to help people. So I think that what Devin is saying and arguing to Daki is pretty good. But I think my big question is, how much has Sidious or Maul seeped into her head? She talks Master Daki into clinging to the old ways, the good ways, and using your power for good to protect people and to not be idle. But does Devin want to do that to fulfill her own Jedi purpose? Or is there a touch of vengeance, a touch of fear, a touch of my whole world collapsed and it would feel great to cut that asshole's head off? And the pride, because Maul plants that too, of like, wouldn't your master be proud if you killed me? You know, so there's a lot swirling around for her that is not just pure Jedi helping other people. There's vengeance, there's fear, there's pride. Hey, those are 2 of the words in the title: pride and vengeance.
I'll start there and work back. I love everything you're saying here. How many times in the real world, and I won't say specific things, but how many times in the real world and over the last year or so have we all had to say, look, I know he was a dictator, but did what followed justify? Is any of this good? And those are fair questions to ask. And I think there's some good old fashioned ForceCenter caveats in what some of the stuff Devin was trying to say. I put a little, I didn't put a ton of notes in it, but I just wrote a note of what was versus what is. And you're so right to bring that out. And this I was thinking a lot about of Two Boots Brander and just that great moment of, well, in the old days, we would have called the Republic and they would have sent a Jedi out there. Well, yeah, it ain't the old days, buddy. It ain't the old days. And we have the benefit of knowing there's a wizard, a Sith wizard at the center of this all. We have the benefit of knowing that. Brander Lawson doesn't know it, but he definitely feels that this ain't good. And I've seen it. I love.
Oh my God, the ex-wife reveal.
Ex-wife.
Fantastic.
Oh my God,
his ex-wife works for the Empire. Fantastic.
I just wanted to say, I would take it not in the series because it's only 10 episodes. If this was like 22 classic TV, I would want an entire episode just on them, like having a dinner to talk over like custody or something. Like, and people would say filler. Fascinating, just fascinating. And I know some stuff in Star Wars Resistance towards Osa and her parents and everything like that. So like, there's that been played with before, but we didn't get. Resistance we love. I wish we could have gone deeper into that. Fascinating into that. But anyway, so I love that. So I started that. What was versus what is and what that kind of means. But yeah, I love that conversation. You're hitting on all the things I loved about Devin and Master Dockie's conversation. I mentioned my expectations were subverted a little bit. My own lazy expectations. We start here, Jedi and an apprentice on the run. She maybe is seduced by the dark side of the Force. This guy's dead. And all that may happen. But the way they're slowing down to do it, the fact that she reunites with him really was a great, wonderful beat for me. It's a favorite moment for later on. But then to have this conversation, you're so right. She clouds, I said earlier, but she clouds vengeance with the duty of the Jedi. And if you were just kind of take a little scalpel and slice out some of her words, you could almost sell it as a highlight of she's inspiring him. The music's swelling. You're right. This is what we're supposed to be. But to me, it all leads to her going, and then we must kill the nightmare that is haunting me. I'm with you on that. And I love that. It's like I almost want to know Dockie's perception on this and perspective, I should say, on this. Because you're right. I think he gets talked into. All right. We better go do this.
Well, because I think she says all the right things, and I don't think that Master Dockie is wrong to say, well, maybe it is a selfless thing to do of like, well, I'm trying to stay alive. Maybe I'll get revealed as a Jedi by going to stop Maul, but Brander Lawson can't stop Maul. Maybe I should, lay down my life to stop Maul. I think Dockie is pure, and the stuff. The stuff that Maul is saying that sounds good to Devin and maybe even sounds good to us. I love how quickly Master Dockie is like, yeah, no, you like the first half of your sentence is great, Maul, and the second half is always crap from the Jedi perspective of, he has the, when has a passive ideology ever served the Jedi? Like, okay, good point. Maybe they should have done some things different than Clone Wars. Haven't you learned your lesson? All right. You survive, but you do not live. True. We live in a sewer and we're not helping people. Great. But then with your power and abilities, you should lead and be respected by all. And like that's the title, Pride and Vengeance, and the stuff that's maybe working its way through Devin's head, but Dockie's too old and wise, I think, of like, no, Jedi don't want to lead, and we don't need to be respected. We just want to wander around and help folks. This is not about, we don't, this is pride. We Jedi are taught really like, no, we don't. Pride is dangerous. And we don't need that. I want to stop you from hurting people. And that's it. That's the whole thing.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's almost as if he was to say, like, yeah, I've had titles before. I was a general. He might have been a general in the Clone War. He might have.
He was. Yeah,
I'm sure he was. That makes sense. And absolutely right. All right, let's go to our core. Let's go to what we're supposed to do and the best way to do it. And yeah, you're right. I think it was deliciously confusing in that Star Wars way.
Yeah,
and that's what I love what the show's doing.
Yeah, and I think we can talk more about where Devin's going to end up, but I think Maul is going to walk her along the path pretty far without her feeling like she actually made a change. I think just making her feel like I'm still doing what the Jedi are supposed to do. It's just that I'm doing it more aggressively. I'm not sitting idly by. I'm not being passive. I'm using my power, and kind of lying to herself that she's doing it to help people. And I think Maul's going to slow walk her, and I don't think he's going to be like, and bleed your crystal, and here's your Darth name. I think he's going to just let her be useful to him and let her live with the lie that I'm just being a Jedi in a better way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, love that comment. That's kind of where I'm swimming in and trying to find the words to say of this is absolutely similar to some of the stuff we've seen with other dark side folks. I'm thinking of the Stranger, how
Yes.
deliciously confusing the Stranger was of what he's selling, and you and I have thoughts on that as well. But the Stranger spoke to people. He spoke to our friend Jen Landa. Like he spoke, like he was telling some truth. And I love what you're saying of like the slow walk is what this series is doing. Almost as if, let's just say, she becomes Talon, Darth. You know, he might have not need for a Darth name before, but let's say she does. It's going to be a powerful decision from her.
Mm-hmm.
It could be sold as, look what I finally am who I'm supposed to be. I'm the Jedi the right way. Oh, that's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
That's dangerous. I am justice in my own words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh. Very powerful. Yeah. So I think there's a lot about Jedi identity, but it's a lot about do we follow the old ways for good or ill in this different time? I think Maul's a bit of a fun hypocrite about it, because I think he is really talking a big game about times are different, and he wants to do things differently. He wants to be the slow, thoughtful Grand Master. But when you strip away what he's doing, his tactics might be a little bit slower and smarter. But he's seducing somebody to the dark side. He is re-brutalizing the Pikes to make them to rebuild a thing he had 6 months ago or a year and a half ago. He's not doing anything to conquer, power, seduce, rebuild, destroy. Like, his tactics might have changed, but nothing he's doing has changed. He is clinging to the old ways as well.
Indeed.
Which brings us to, I would love to talk more about Brander and Two Boots. I thought their dynamic was fascinating. Big picture, I think Brander continues to be the person to almost kind of root for, that he is basing his decisions on protecting Janix, on hopefully bringing Maul to justice, which does protect Janix, protect the entire planet from the Empire coming. And he continues to just look around and go, what is really happening? I'm basing my decisions on nuance and truth, not rigid rules. I am the spirit of the law, not the letter. And Two Boots was extra fascinating with his rigidity. There's the big picture stuff of Two Boots just wants to follow protocol. He wants to call the Empire because that's protocol. He's clinging to the old ways. Well, in the old days, we would call the Republic. They'd send a Jedi Knight. We'll just call the Empire, and they'll send whatever their new version of Jedi Knight is, and it'll be fine. He's got that great tortured moment where Brander's like, hey, Two Boots, what I would like to do is break the rules. And now to enforce that, I'm going to tell you it's an order. So I'm going to use the rules to enforce on you my decision to not follow the rules. And Two Boots has that great tortured line of, it is not my intention to supersede your authority. Like, Two Boots can't deal with this idea, this conundrum of he is using his power to tell me not, he is using his rule over me to tell me not to use the rules. Fascinating stuff. But I was also really impressed, like Two Boots' first scene in these episodes with Brander reads as comedy, and it is, but it's all rigid control. Every little thing Two Boots says is about how he is doing everything correctly. He is well rested. He is concerned about Brander contacting his devious connections. Two Boots thinks scouring known smuggler drop points is, quote, a mundane assessment with little chance of a lead. And he ends up being wrong about that. Everything is rigid. You're not sleeping enough, Brander. You're not paying enough attention to your kids. You're doing your job wrong. But I, Two Boots, I just follow the protocols and I'm doing everything correctly. There's a lot of like kind of classic Star Wars rigidity not leading to success from Two Boots. How do you feel about that dynamic?
I love their dynamic, and I love that scene, and I love everything about it. And I love that you're right. Brander's selling protocol to sell not using protocol, and I love that it's on a droid. Two Boots has some Their comedy, you're right. A lot of him reads as comedy, and I think we're trained to look at some of the droids as the comedy relief, and that's not a bad thing. And I think many of them are, but they all have their distinct personalities and what they bring to the table, and what they can represent. And Two Boots having some very sincere moments. I love that he has these you are under arrest for a crime you committed, and this is my job to bring you in. Agreed? Deal? Got it?
Yep. No, you're shooting at me and running away? Okay.
Yeah. Very sincere, very sincere. And a droid with feelings. Like I was thinking, I don't remember last time I've seen a droid apologize and compute the need to apologize. Fascinated the way it is sold that Brander, you might not be thinking straight, man. I know who you saw. I know where you got this information. Don't lie to me. You went and saw her. You saw her.
Devious connections that you're not supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah, and it clouds, and I think one of the in a couple of episodes that really took the time to have these real human moments. I actually think my favorite one was him trying to show up for his son, him trying to be there. And you're right, staying in the shadows, not wanting to, go up there and grab a hot dog and a soda in the stands with the family. It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking because you know what's going to happen. You know what's going to do. This is a man of honor and intelligence and integrity, and it was heartbreaking to watch. I want so much more of Brander, and I know we're going to get more, but he's fascinating.
Yeah, I found myself. I just so far. I know. I haven't got a chance to read the Maul comics, and it seems like Brander is sort of pitched as a little bit more. I do whatever I need to, and I lie and manipulate and all that. But that's not what I'm seeing quite in the show. It's more like he's one of the few people who is adapting to the new reality and keeping front of his mind. I want to protect people. So how do I do that? But I love the back and forth at the end there where Brander apologized for powering down Two Boots to stop him from calling the Empire. And Two Boots apologized for, calling the Empire. But Two Boots also says that he called the Empire out of concern for the safety of Brander and his team. So I spent these two episodes kind of mad at Two Boots because he kept being rigid and he kept being overly logical and incorrect and shitting on Brander. Brander's lead turned out great, And just do you have any rational reason for thinking the Empire's bad? So frustrated with him. But then he says, I called the Empire because you and your team are going to get killed.
Yeah.
And he wasn't wrong about that,
Right.
And it was emotional. It was, I needed to protect you because that's what we do, right? Protect people. And also, I love you, man. There was a real, I love you, man vibe to I know you didn't want me to call the Empire, but you were going to die, dude. And I couldn't live with that.
Yeah, I think this series should be called Maul Deliciously Confusing.
Yeah,
I absolutely think you're right. When he goes into the booth, which by the way, I love they have these separate little call booths. Ring up the Empire. As if a Yog Moff, Jar Gerard's on the other end. Hello, what do you want? He has that moment. I'm glad you highlighted it of just I'm doing this because I like you, not just because it's rules. I don't want because Two Boots is also in the first encounter. With the other buddy, Blondie, they get hurt, and Two Boots was like, Ed, I forget his name, but Bob got hurt, man.
Bob got hurt, and I almost got destroyed. It was really rough, man.
Really rough.
These guys are serious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Droids have always had emotions. In Star Wars, they've always been complex, sentient creatures. In Two Boots, I love the way he's reflecting the sort of the rigidity, but also the emotion. Can't wait to see where he goes as well. I would love to talk about, I can't remember how you phrased it, but I think we're talking about the same thing. I thought there was a real theme of disappointing your people in these two episodes. I think there's going to be throughout the series, but these two episodes, sometimes when I look at themes, I'm just like, what is literally happening with each person? Is the same thing happening with each group of people? And it really is, with everybody sort of being disappointed in one another. There's Brander disappoints everyone he interacts with almost. He has to leave his son's game. he's trying to save the city, and Chief Kleiss tells him, you got to get Maul this time. And we know, he's going to disappoint Chief Kleiss. He's not going to get Maul this time. He's trying to make things right with Two Boots. He's like, Two Boots seems like his only friend, but gets Two Boots demoted down to desk duty. And there's that great emotional shot of Two Boots at the desk going through all those boxes, and Two Boots shoves the boxes in front of the picture of him and Brander that he has on his desk. Like, that's funny, but it's also like, I mean, Brander, Jesus, this poor man. His ex-wife works for the Empire, but he spends these episodes, I think, for the most part, in my opinion, trying to do the right thing and failing everyone. And I mean, that guy needs to run his hand through his hair like 80,000 times a day with his exhaustion and depression, you know? So there's him. I think Maul's whole thing is kind of about his whole thing is I was a disappointment. I failed and I got kicked out of my purpose, and now I'm trying to rebuild, and I failed. I got captured and tortured by Sidious, and my mom got killed, and then I started to rebuild a little bit, and then Ahsoka kicked my ass, and I failed. I think his whole thing is a sort of his whole emotional boo-boo, as we called it, is a failing Daddy Sidious issue. He's raging at, trying to prove I'm just as good as Daddy Sidious. This whole thing is kind of disappointing people, and his group does end up on the run with him with the bum leg, and like they kind of won, but they're kind of on the run, and they didn't win because the Empire's here. And then with Daki and Devin, Daki fails to find Devin. Devin has to, get Maul's manipulated escape. Then he fails to defeat Maul, and Daki's literal last line in this episode is, "I'm sorry I failed you." And then all three groups of people, the Maul, the Jedi, Brander, and the Law, all have failed and disappointed the entire world of Janix as the Shadow of the Empire comes over. So this whole thing was just like, it made me just be like, I got to get up and do some good things for my wife and for Ken and just not fail people. My God, this is all failing people.
Yeah. I phrased something as parenting gone wrong, parenting going wrong. I don't know if that was, okay. Yeah, and side note, by the way, I'm going to prop you up for a second. Over the course of doing this, a lot of folks like, I wish I could see and break down themes like you all do over there, and that's something that I wish you taught a ForceCenter masterclass on. You just actually sold your secret. If you're out there like, hey, how do I just measure every scene and what every character is going through, are there repeating things? Is how you get to themes, by the way. It's just a little shortcut, and because once it shows up all the time. Dan and Dave from Game of Thrones always said we don't do themes, which is something that was kind of taken out of context, actually. But I remember watching episode 2 of Game of Thrones on a breakdown, season 1. I was like, oh, everyone's saying the same thing. Every person has said the same line 15 times. They got a theme going on. Anyway.
Yeah, I think what they were trying to say, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm not them, is they're sitting in the writer's room and they're saying, what choice feels right? They go this choice, and they don't sit there and talk about, the theme is abandonment. So let's do another scene about abandonment. They write the scene and it feels right. And the reason it feels right is because it's all connected. And it is like music that is in tune. And when it doesn't feel right, it's notes that don't go together. So writers fix it. You don't have to necessarily think about theme. I just watched this great old film, Carnival of Souls, where the writer and director is like, it's great you guys found all this stuff in it. We just made a horror movie. And like, no, you guys didn't. You just didn't consciously think, here's the theme, but you still did it.
Yes. Sorry, I just died. Is Carnival of Souls, is that also a Bad Kiss album from the mid-90s? I think it might be.
Probably.
Anyways, I digress, but it's also what I love doing here, and I love getting ignited by this kind of stuff, and this is what kept showing up, and the word failure. I love, we didn't talk about it at the top, but I love that you mentioned that Maul, in running through, I put it down as, Maul's daddy murdered everyone in his life, but he mentions with great sadness the Mandalore stuff. He mentions
the tragedy on Mandalore.
Yeah. And everyone, I know we deal with Star Wars mentorship, Kenobi being so much about what we do, the generation behind us, and Star Wars is about generational exchange and generational growth and just generations. So this comes up a lot. and you said up top, like this whole series is like one book, and these are chapters on all the themes there. And I just was fascinated by this. And the one that stands out the most is Brander Lawson. And it's like, he's failing his kid. He's failing his kid, but he's also, I don't say with good reason. I'm not a parent, so I'm not going to try to justify it, but like that, you want to put this kid's Saturday game over a Sith crime lord? Like, I don't know. I think I choose the crime lord every time, but it is failure. Master Daki, I've searched all over. Like, I can't find her. I can't find her. That's failure. And then, and the failure at the heart of it all is Papa Palpatine not being a good dad in theory to Maul, and how that failure. But that's why I also put this note. I keep saying an idiot's guide to what to do when you've been wrong. Not that these characters are idiots or that any of us are, but it's just kind of simplifying this. Like, hey, horrible things happen. How are you going to work through it? Are you going to grab the red blade or the blue blade? And it all sounds deliciously confusing, but how can you as a parent best set up those behind you for not just success, but for being who they are? And I think another time Star Wars deals with the attachment. An attachment is a prison, and attachment is a dangerous thing for you. And you and I have talked about real world, especially back during the strike, talking at another center of like things from my childhood I'm still trying to work through of not being allowed to be who I was. And that was a failure, but it was a failure out of a good heart and good intention. So I think this episode really, I'm not a parent, so I'm not going to put this as on a VHS tape in front of a parent and say, now learn from all this. But I think there's some things to think about.
Yeah, I think they're doing just such a good job with Brander and to an extent Daki. But Brander's just so real world coded, right? I don't feel like in the show, maybe the show will change, but I don't feel like the show is like, it's not like he's like, I'm obsessed with Maul and I got to be the one who gets him. Like that's a cop story, right? It feels like I wish Janix had the budget for 3 people of my rank and I could take a weekend off, but I can't because there's a wizard murdering folks who murdered a bunch of cops who broke people out of prison. Like I got to take care of this, and I got to take, and I'm the only one who gets how awful the Empire is. Like it seems like Chief Clice kind of knows it's a bad idea. Yeah. But like, it's hard to. He's failing his son, but it's hard to blame him, right? And it feels a little bit more like what a lot of us are going through is we tend to blame ourselves as individuals, but we are being put in situations where a lot of times, like, so much is being asked of us. Sorry to just rip off the Band-Aid and get real. Like when everything costs more and you get paid the same or less, and the path to some more success is, well, why don't you do you want to be an author? It turns out now you're also a publicist and a YouTube spokesperson, and like we blame ourselves for our failures, but society is not helping us, and that's definitely the world that of horror that the Empire is making worse in the galaxy that Palpatine designed to put people into misery, to force dads to fail their son the way Brander is. Maybe the show will change, but it's not pitching it to me as a character flaw that Brander's an obsessed cop and that's more important to him. It's portraying somebody who is squeezed to the limit and trying to do the right thing.
Well said, because remember around this time as well, Han Solo's daddy is collapsing, and Han's life is changing. Like this is what we celebrate in Solo as a, hey, this is a good showing what oppression is doing from the Empire. I love what you said. I think you're absolutely right. I think when you said NYPD Blue, or a 1990s cop procedural, and I know a lot of people like those because the numbers are there, and a lot of people understandably, and I think correctly, look at it as propaganda and all this stuff. But like Star Wars is playing in the realm here, but they made a very clear choice. You're right. He is not above all else. Not at all. Not at all. And that's what makes me have a lot of empathy and understanding, or trying to understand Brander in his spot. And I hope one day in therapy, his son will experience that too.
Yeah, maybe Master Daki will live long enough to have a quick conversation with Brander about failing their children, but I'm not going to put money on that one. I had one other idea I wanted to talk about, but what other sort of thematic or big picture ideas did you have written down?
I think I put a man of honor intelligence because I just want to talk a little bit about Brander, but I think we hit it on there. It's all in a big bucket on this one here, and I think I got it all here. Yeah, again, and I really like that you're right. The series is definitely chapters of one wonderful book. Asking all these tough questions.
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to talk about and just really kind of get your opinion on is at the end of Pride and Vengeance, there is this great feeling of we're rooting for all these characters in different ways, I think. And they're having this conflict, but we know the biggest conflict is, but all this is going to get even worse if the Empire comes. And they have this weird surrender circle, right? Where Maul offers a truce to Brandor and claims he'll leave the city alone if he can operate here unimpeded. Sounds relatively good. Like, just let me live in your sewer, dude, and I will fly off planet and do awful things. But at the same time, Maul has already killed cops on Janix, and he broke into Janix prison and freed a criminal, and like, there's very little reason for Brander to go, you're right, good idea, I'll make that compromise to keep the Empire out of here. It's he has to take him in. But then Brander says, no, you're looking at this wrong way. You surrender to me, and I'll protect you from the Empire. You'll be tried by Janix law, not Imperial law. You'll get a fair shake. So you got an offer from Maul, got an offer from Brander. Daki literally says, like, hey, I heard you make that offer of surrender to Brander. I'm going to make the same offer to you, Maul. Just surrender. We don't want to hurt you. We don't want to fight. Just surrender. So there's a circle of offers to surrender, all of which I think are complicated from the viewer because we're kind of rooting for Maul because he's our perspective character and we know he's evil, but we feel for the horrors that he's been through. So there's in a way you almost have that pull to be like, Brander, just let him sit in your sewer and attack other planets. Come on. What's your problem? And then you're like, no, but Maul is a criminal. And if Brander could just arrest him, he could go to his son's Vatican game and Officer Kleiss will be happy and Two Boots will be happy. And so we want that for Brander. And then, Master Daki is trying to do the right thing and stand up and protect people. And you're like, yeah, take him into custody. Or if you have to, it's real sad, but defeat this Sith and save the galaxy from this. So in a way, you're kind of rooting for all three of them. But then at the end of it, when the Imperial ship comes over, and maybe I shouldn't be saying you, maybe I should just be making I statements. These are the things I felt, is a temptation to agree with all of them. But the Imperial ship comes over and like, whatever problems all three of you had are 10 million times worse. And so is everything for everyone on Janix. Then you're left with like, couldn't they found some way to have fixed this surrender circle to avoid what is clearly the biggest problem of the shadow of fascism?
I mean, yeah. What do you do when the Night King comes down from the wall? I mean, can we all get together? I love that you're giving Maul a lot of room here, and I like it. You're like, come on, Maul, just turn yourself in, man. He's a couple years.
Yeah, it's a tragedy, right? It's a tragedy. You're watching and being like, okay, there's these three groups of people, and their most pressing concern is the same. The Empire. Can they do what they need to? And all this stuff we've been discussing about identity and clinging to the old ways, that blocks them. Their legitimate moral code blocks them. But I think the fact that this episode is called Pride and Vengeance, it almost feels to me like these three should have found a way to band together to recognize their biggest threat. But there's some things getting in the way, like the title, Pride and Vengeance.
Pride and Vengeance. No, well said. No, I love that scene, and it was good. It was good. Cops and robbers kind of vibe there of I got a deal, you got a deal. But I love you also bring in the Master Daki involved. That reminded me of Filoni's famous story of how he got hired. Of George says, "What a Jedi puts a lightsaber in front of the table, and what do they do?" And they have a big philosophical discussion about that. And George says, "Is later on you're hired, right?" That to me was Daki as well, going, "Hey, look, I got this. I don't want to use it. You don't want me to use it. we can do another way, but never gonna happen with Maul.
Yeah, and Maul's great manipulative. Did you come here to kill me? Me, a murderer? You came here to kill me? Yeah, and I also just love that it ends with everybody wounded. It's not just the Shadow of the Empire, like those three groups. Like several cops get killed. The ones we met are coming out on a stretcher wounded. We know Brander is wounded in every way by this failure. Docky's looks like he's got some ribs broken in and maybe pressed into a sensitive organ. He's in bad shape. Maul's leg is wounded. Maul came out pretty good, but he's wounded and on the run. Everybody is wounded and broken. And now things are going to get real tough with the Empire. Is a brutal way to end these two episodes.
I think you're right to point out that everyone's got a boo-boo at the end of this. Everyone does.
Emotional and physical. So I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more of ideas as we talk about some other stuff. Are you ready to move on to talk to other elements of the episode?
Yes, sir. Some of our favorite moments, canon connections, a lot there.
Yeah, so canon connections, larger Star Wars story. There's some just fun, like, yes, we've heard of that before, but I want to start with the big one, which is I'm calling Maul's chatty lightsaber. So in the third episode, Whispers in the Unknown, right when Devin is angry and about to leave with Maul's lightsaber, the half of the lightsaber, the subtitles read, Maul's lightsaber speaks alien language. And it's the kind of murmured, very Duel of the Fates like chant words. And I think when I watched it the first time without subtitles, it was just like it's kind of it's in between, soundtrack and sound effect, and I just like, there's some kind of like burbling from the score of chant words from Duel of the Fates. And then when I watch it with the subtitles, it's like, that seems like a real choice. So how did you feel about Maul's chatty lightsaber in the subtitle reveal there?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it really leaned into, to me, that's the horror vibe. And also, let's not forget that, Sith and Jedi and Force users are tapping into something that maybe not everyone else understands, or we as an audience understand. I really thought it was effective. There was a moment later on in the second lightsaber fight that I have to double check, maybe but it was either Maul screaming, but I could also believe it was from his blade of just this, just kind of that guttural Maul scream. So it was very, very effective, that entire sequence. Because he's haunting. I always Maul is a nightmare, nightmare incarnate. That was his design. That was George's edict, and I love when that is paid off. And so to take it even down to his blade, it just makes me think of this kyber crystal in the modern era, which I love. I actually did not have a problem with the synthetic kyber crystal that was in or Legends and everything. I actually didn't mind that, but I like where we are now, because when it first popped up, and this is, I think, the 2014, 2015 range, maybe the Vader comic, and you're learning this has kind of been changed. It's kind of mystical. Like, what do they do? The Sith put their anger into it, but I think there's so many times that it's been effective. I think I really love the one in the Acolyte in the final episode there. But to imagine that Maul's blade has something else going on in it that is connected, because when the blade's in your hand, it's organic, and that's what's inside him, and that's what's inside the blade. It's horror stuff.
Yeah, I love the how much they've leaned into the kyber crystals being sentient. I love the weird fantasy mystical side of Star Wars, and they really went into that in Trials of the Darksaber, talking about the connection. I think the fact that the Skywalker hero's family blade was literally calling to Rey in The Force Awakens. It's not new. It's just we haven't spent a lot of time with it with Sith blades. I love how much it elevates it, because a lot of times we've had like Maul's lightsaber, like, yes, he clearly still has one half of his original blade, and the other half that he got from somewhere during the arc of the Clone Wars. And maybe that's a Fallen Jedi blade that he bled. I don't remember if we know that, but if you're just, I rewatched all of his animated appearances, and that blade's been through a lot. It was sitting there in the trash somehow. In theory, he loses it. He's using the Darksaber also, but then he loses it when Sidious takes him and gets it back. Ahsoka makes him drop it on Mandalore, so Rook Kast had to not only rescue him from something, but also went and fished that blade out again. That blade has been like pushed and pulled away from him a ton. So like it elevates it just from a game of like tracking the canon of where is his blade to like the blade matters. The blade either is excited to be held by Devon, or it's almost like, hey, give me back to Maul. What's it whispering about? You know, what is it?
Yeah.
Is it just happy to be used? Is it happy to feel somebody else's Devon's anger maybe pouring into it? Or is it like, no, give me back to Master. I love it. I love it when I'm with Master and I'm killing with Master, you know?
Maul.
Master Maul. Yeah, as you say, Maul, give me back to Maul, like Spybot. Yeah.
Spybot's great.
But I hope they do more with it, because I think it elevates it just from a weapon to a part of the story.
I absolutely agree with you. Big stuff.
We mentioned this a little bit in canon, but is Maul's beginning his manipulation of Devon. He specifically mentions his brother dying, and he specifically mentions his mother dying. We've mentioned this before, but there's a great Son of Dathomir comic book that you can find pretty easily. There's a collected version of it in the physical world that you can order from various websites. It details this kind of big part of Maul's story that was designed to be Clone Wars episodes, but got cut out. And without spoilers, Sidious manipulates Maul to cause the death of Mother Talzin. How did you feel just getting the clear reminder of Maul's personal loss, relationship loss, a son or a brother and a mother killed by Sidious?
For me, it is part of the conversation of how valuable it was to bring him back, and the storytelling that we got after it, and that the events in Clone Wars and events in these characters' lives is a wonderful stat on the back of Palpatine's baseball card. Defeated, Savage Opress, and finally got rid of Mother Talzin, all that stuff. But that it is, you can take a character like Maul and give him this true lived-in experience that we all can connect with. And hopefully learn lessons from to not become Maul. And the pain is real. I think it was played real, where of course is amazing in this role. And it was conceived and written real. That's some true pain there. True pain.
Yeah. I loved it just for the sort of the reset for folks who are maybe not tracking that or haven't read Son of Dathomir. And it's also just so great for his character that it feels like he's manipulating, and I don't think he's cognizant of trying to create an empathy connection, but I think deep down that is what he is trying to do. And he's leading with like the stuff that is truly awful things that happened to him. Of, he has done awful things. He was indoctrinated to do awful things, but he's been, just brutalized by this awful person in Sidious, and he does deserve empathy for that. He doesn't make good choices based on it, but he does deserve empathy for the way he's been brutalized. And I think reconnecting us to empathy is fantastic.
Yep, I agree.
Great Inquisitor mention. I love the way he brings him up to Devon, where Maul says, "Have you ever encountered one of the Jedi hunters? Are you even prepared?" And obviously from trailers, we know that there's some and action figures. We know that some Inquisitors are showing up. How did you feel about this mention? Did it make you feel like Maul is just aware? Does it make you feel like Maul's already encountered one? That term Jedi hunters also is like, is he just being poetic, or does he not know the official title?
Oh yeah, I took it slightly as poetic, but I'm fascinated that he has, he's been keeping tabs. So even in my mind, so I don't know if he's encountered one, but it seems to me he'd want to avoid it, and that unless he killed an Inquisitor without any communication going back, he would be in the shadows if that was the case. So that's where I go with that. But also just was a reminder for me, again, I fell for this thing of like, oh, that's right, we might not even have the Empire. Oh wait, yeah, I absolutely know we are. That's coming, and we got some interesting stuff coming. And it also made me think of Rebels, where Maul kind of get some victories over them. Not those ones specifically. But.
Yeah, and he knows exactly who they are. Talking about Vader's dogs are here, so it just got me really excited, and I hope we get to the appearance of the Inquisitors soon. The only other things for canon for me were little things. The Cassius tea that he is making for Devon was introduced to Maul by Pre Vizsla in the Clone Wars episode Eminence when they were first meeting. So it is fun to see some of his sort of canon come through, and I assume maybe that's a Mandalorian tea, a Death Watch tea.
Yeah.
And that's Rook Cass. Like, I will come with you, but I need a steady supply of Cassia's tea. Was fun. Only other things, just fun shout outs of Ludi Vario talking about his food choices and asking for a Nerf filet. From Nerf herders to Nerf eaters, the Star Wars legacy continues. And I like Mark Krim mentioning his Nexu horde as a big Attack of the Clones fan, and suddenly got a picture of like a bunch of Pikes riding big evil mean cats.
Exactly.
No. Any other canon connections or thoughts that you wanted to explore?
No, other than, it's one of my favorite moments I'll talk about, but just the Empire showing up and just the way they chose to have that Star Destroyer fly over. We're 50 years out from that kind of shot changing the world, and I like that it's still powerful.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is the kind of thing that I think sometimes fans complain about, of like going back to the well, the Star Destroyer shot, but it's in such a different context that it's really powerful. All right, let's talk favorite moments. And favorite moments can sometimes be our whimsy watch as well, because these are dark, hard shows, but they do pack in a lot of fun and flavor as well. So what spoke to you for favorite moments?
I love Maul's Tea Time of Vengeance, and I love the Whispers thing Unknown with Maul as a horror thing, but we discussed it there. So I'm going to start with a good old fashioned shootout at the docks. And that's kind of, I think, in the first episode of Janix is a great location. And I love that it's a new planet and you get to kind of show new things or familiar things, but it doesn't have to be Coruscant. It doesn't have to be any other thing we've met. Like we've met planets, but you know what I mean? That we've been on. And I had fun with it. It's a little tropey thing of, let's go down to the docks, you see? Shots fired. Like it was fun. A little Star Warsy fun.
Yeah, I mean, talk about adventure serial. A lot of those have cliffhangers with shootouts among some wooden crates and some back lot of a studio somewhere. It was very, very serial. One of my early ones was just appreciating, again, the aesthetic. Early on, when Devin is escaping and Rook Cass kind of nods, yeah, you should go through there. There's a close-up of Rook Cass' helmet, and it's just beautiful in the way it's executed, because all the same animation stuff we've been talking about, but it's so effed up. It's so scarred, and it was aesthetically beautiful, but it was also just like in that one quick shot, you were kind of reminded of like how much she's been through to keep, to have Maul's back, of like, there's been no time to retreat and touch that paint job up. Her helmet's in rough shape. It was just brutal and cool.
Great shot. I loved it. I marked that down too. And I'm still, the relationship between Rook and Maul, and I use that term in very sweeping general way, which could go a lot of different directions for me. But I just wonder what she's feeling. I don't know if we're going to spend a lot of time. I don't know if she's going to have tea with Maul, but every look, whether it's the mask on or mask off, I'm like, I wonder what she's feeling. Does she have any regret?
Sometimes the animated shows, I think, are they can have a light touch on certain characters. It's like really my only true beef with the Bad Batch is I think they could have gone a little bit deeper with Echo, and I'm holding out hope that we go a little bit deeper on Rook Cass, but also I think it's possible that she is going to be in the long legacy of extremely cool looking hench people that we wonder more about. Indeed. But we'll see. What are some other moments for you?
I just wanted to shout out that, actually, I'm going to, two things, because they're connected. Vario's face. Every time. Smiles, he sighs, he's got screaming grins. This is a character that is coded in some classic film noir tropes. I'll do a bad mid-Atlantic, but it's just got that kind of like, wise guy, yay. And you could write it off and it could be used wrong. He just continues to be a great character that is fun to watch. And I just kind of love, because I'm like, is he playing the people around him? Is he playing to the camera? Is he playing to me personally? Is he just playing to himself? I kind of in a way fell for what I call the Vario gambit in episode 4, the opening of episode 4. Like I didn't think that was actually Maul, but I'm like, oh, maybe it was. And he pulled it off with like, yeah, now's my time. I just think he's really fascinating, and he's also fun. He's got the great lines. I love do you ever shut up? Oh, there's one time I thought about shut up, but I love all that. But then on the flip side, you got the other breakout character, Spybot. And I love in episode 3, he says, Spybot very clearly says, "Oh, I want to hurt you.
I want to hurt you bad."
And then episode 4, ForceCenter swear alert. I swear, when the reinforcements show up, that Spybot says, "Oh shit, time to go."
It's not in the subtitles, but I heard it too.
Okay.
I think he probably said Bushido, his catchphrase there when it's time to go. Boshiki-doo, 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 Boshiki-doo. It's probably Boshiki-doo, time to go. Or Skidoo, time to go. But it sounded bad. Yeah, I gotta agree with you. That I didn't hear it without the subtitles. I didn't. Maybe it's because my wife's asleep at 12:30 when I'm watching these, and I'm keeping the volume down low. But yeah, when the subtitles, like, I want to hurt you bad.
It's great. Great.
It's so scary, awful. It makes you wonder, like, okay, did Maul just get mad one day and go in and be like, no, I want this guy to be an asshole too. Like, I want him to be, so go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, you're right. He probably says what Bushido or something, but I heard it again. I heard it's shit time to go. And I remember we had a conversation with Alex and Molly Damon last week. We were having dinner with them. And this conversation, the show, no spoilers, but it's aged up. And this was part of their first reactions too. The show's kind of aged up, and I was like, oh, it is. Oh, you wouldn't get that resistance. Oh, Peep It wouldn't say, oh, shit, I just cleaned that. But anyways, you're probably right.
Just clean this floor. Yeah, and then Spybot saying disappear when he lays down the smoke. It's great. It continues to be my analysis of Spybot is that he speaks the way many of us do when we play video games and when we're angry. Like I have said, I want to hurt you bad to annoying NPC video games many times. Smoke bomb, time to disappear. Great stuff. There's a lot of great action. Obviously, I do want to call out how incredibly well done the action is. That Maul's emerging in and out of the shadows to manipulate and fight with Devin. But his lightsaber fight, there's one point where he kind of thrusts directly toward her face and she kind of has to parry, but it really feels like it's almost like coming into our faces, coming into the camera. It's almost like, hey, maybe we'll release this as 3D someday. Repeating the leg sweep that gets her pounding the floor and furious. It's also well done to not just be cool, but to really be emotional. Like I said, I love the Clone Wars with absolutely all my heart, and it's always well done. But sometimes it does feel like, okay, well, now the Jedi have a lightsaber fight with Grievous. And like, yep, they did. And then other times it's packed with emotion and meaning. And I feel like so far every fight in, especially lightsaber fight in Maul is like, there's emotional things going on that make us feel it, the coolness of the battle as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's keeping in line what I said up top of the show is slowing down to give us these moments of what I'll say is humanity, but moments with the characters and the stuff with Devin and they're able to pull off. And I know Clone Wars season 7 is where maybe the step forward in a big way of I'll say with some ignorance to kind of do a mocap version of it. You could see that these fights are so smooth and they're animated in this wonderful way. Maul fighting with his hand behind his back and but like. It felt very real, very, very much full of character and fears and emotions.
And I think I enjoyed the entire second lightsaber fight. But the final sort of phrase of the fight, where Maul has pushed Devin away and Daki gets his kick in on Maul's mechanical leg, and it pisses Maul off, and he drives Daki up the stairs so ferociously, and you got the sizzle of the blade cutting through the railing of the stairs and just driving at Daki. That was one of the lightsaber fights that I felt the most. Like I could feel like the sizzle and the heat and the intensity from Daki's perspective of like just this absolute heat and anger and force coming at you. I thought was really, really, you could feel the pain and the speed and everything. I thought it was great.
A reminder of who Maul is, right? Who Maul is. He's got some skills, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
So any other sort of action stuff, character, dialogue stuff that you wanted to shout out?
Yeah, the last big one. Last big one for me, as I mentioned earlier, I love that Devin and Master Daki reunited. I even like how it played out. He's trying to get back in, and Padawan, and she's hiding in the shadows, and he can sense her. Again, different than what I expected. What I love about it, in terms of telling a story, the fact that they're reunited, it's sweet and emotional, and they've got some peace again, and they're together. And again, whatever happens, and I mean that, whatever happens, if she completely falls to the dark side, if she doesn't, Master Daki dies or he lives, whatever happens, it's going to mean more because we're spending more time with them. That he is a character that maybe, again, I had some different expectations. I thought he'd be gone earlier in the story. He's not. And so that because of that, it released some of the plot armor that can sometimes just be on characters. Sometimes it's just the way it is. I didn't think he was going to die in this fight. I didn't think it was the right time. And I still think if he does die, it might come in her hands. I don't know. Maybe that's a wild prediction I have. But also I didn't know. And also it would have been like, no, you just got back. You're your team again. Like, I just think the way they're doing it, it's just adding more to the relationship. And then it's going to add more to the impact of whatever happens. We're connected. We're invested.
I really agree with that. There's a bunch of Daki moments that I really liked. I liked his ability to sense people before they arrived and how cool he was about it. Padawan, like sensing the cops, like they're here before Devin does. Like the design of his lightsaber hilts, it's a little bit different. It looks like it's a different shape, wrapped with maybe something organic. Very cool. It's just some great sort of comedy lines, or sort of an element of comedy to them. When Daki and Brander, it's mostly on Brander, but are having their conversation in the tunnel. And he's asking Daki about things, and Daki says, that too is a mystery. And Brander says, oh, great, another one.
Yes.
Really good. And then Brander saying to Daki, why didn't you tell me you were a Jedi? And Daki said, I would think the reasons are obvious. It's really, really good. Just lots of great Daki stuff to give him a little bit of a personality, and not, just another Jedi.
Yeah, not just another Jedi master that's going to be cut down. And again, I'm not criticizing anything we've seen in the past. It's all been handled well, and sometimes that's not the point of the story. But they're making this choice that he's part of the main cast. He's part of what we're going to learn from the show.
And you mentioned this earlier, but I do just really want to shout this out because I think it is it's the writing and the directing, but it is also the heightened capability of the animation for this show. The emotion when Brander leaves Riley's game.
Yeah.
When he kind of looks back and is like, do I call out to him? Is there anything I can do to make this better? No. And just runs away. It's so good. It's so good. And I just, again, I love the Clone Wars with all my heart, but some of this level of nuance was not literally physically possible.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I was like almost yelling at the screen, like, dude, just 30 more seconds. Just wait 30 more seconds. I know it's life and death for your buddies, but 30 more seconds and you can high five your kid and then tell him I gotta go. Yeah, trust me, that as someone who rounded second base after hitting a grand slam and seeing my mother looking the other way, talking with a friend, I have been there.
Yeah.
I love that.
Any more favorite moments for you that you want to shout out?
I did mention the Rival of the Empire being great. I just thought it was executed great, wonderful music. But we talked about that earlier. I mentioned it on the live show Monday. I'll talk about it here again. Touched on it, but Maul being a badass and the death of Marg Krim. Shout out to Steven Stanton and the voice of Krim. But it's brutal. It's evil. It is everything you want Maul to be when you buy the Maul ticket. There's a lot of great philosophical conversations you're going to have over tea with Maul. But also, this is the guy that showed up with a banging soundtrack, a double-bladed lightsaber that changed pop culture, and cool face paint and horns. Like, this is Maul, man. And I think it's okay as a Star Wars fan to every once in a while go, oh, yeah, that evil guy was evil. It pumped your fist. And it was really good.
The Marg Krim kill was really cool because I do think that some fun and an invention with lightsabers and force powers is necessary, and I think they're great. Like, I convinced you to hold my blade so I could kill you with it, and the twist is just it's so good. And then the ranting, talking to Mark Grimm's corpse with the tongue hanging out, while actually talking to, the new guy he's going to promote. But like, I came to you, my ally, for aid.
That's right.
You tried to kill me and you failed. So great. So great. My last thing that I wanted to mention is I think Maul's got a couple of great lines that do keep that sort of the surprise sass of Maul that we discovered when he came back in the Clone Wars, and that choice that they made to really add that to his character.
Yes.
We mentioned the great line of "You're a murderer." Well, we do what we need to survive was great, but I think my favorite was, Maul tries to kind of make the pitch to Brander, like, I sense you're honorable and intelligent. And then Maul's annoyance when Brander rejects him, he says, disappointing, but honorable. And honor now becomes an insult. Is so great.
Yeah, die well. I admire your spirit, Captain. Die well. That's a great line. That's a great line.
He is a saucy murderer. Sassy, saucy murderer.
Sassy Maul.
Moving on then. Do you have any other moments you'd like to share?
No.
Okay, great. So we always talk about questions or concerns, anything that we didn't like in the episode or anything we struggled with. Was there anything in these episodes that you got a little hung up on?
Look, over the years in this part, I've always been like, nah, pretty good. Something pops up, and I feel sometimes guilty about that. And, I want to sometimes show that, I don't love everything like a spoonful of sugar down my throat. I don't feel guilty because the Rotten Tomato scores are setting records. People love these episodes. I personally don't have any questions, concerns yet. I think it's been an absolute victory for Star Wars so far.
Yeah, there wasn't anything in specific that I got hung up on these episodes. I thought they were incredibly well done, very moving, very fun. I think the only thing is more of a sort of anxiety about the future, which my Jedi training would say I shouldn't have. I hope we dive deeper on Rookcast, and I hope we dive even a little bit deeper on Devin. I think we will. But they did a lot of nice little touches in these episodes to make Daki feel like an individual as well as a well-trained Jedi Master with similar beliefs to many other Jedi Masters, but a little bit more of like, well, this is how I express myself. This is how I use the Force. A little bit of that Batman in the shadows disappearing act. And I would love to get some of those kind of details about Devin that set her apart as an individual. Because like we know who she is. She is a she's got an aggressive spirit. She's got a fighting spirit. But I'd love to know like how much of that is because of Order 66 and how much of that is this is who she always was a little bit of a let's fight, let's go, let's do this kind of energy. Is that inherent to her character, or is it what the situation has made her?
Yeah, in the first first two episodes, Maul has the kind of feels something. I'm being drawn to something, and is that just he just feeling something in the Force, or is it something kind of specific and is something about her leading to that? That'd be fun to explore.
Yeah, and I really hope that they follow up on that because I think it's fascinating to say, well, in Star Wars values and in my values, everyone is special. But I think Maul is hung up on me and Daddy Palpatine found his very special boy, and I kind of want to convince myself that I found a special Jedi to turn to. That's a special, fated, powerful Jedi. And I hope he follows up on that, and I hope we get to find out what Devin feels about that.
Yeah, it's all making me think of Harry Chapin's Cats in the Cradle. It's about Maul and Sidious.
Whole thing, the Shadow of Sidious. Predictions and hopes for the future. You got any hopes or non-moneyed predictions?
Yeah. I have a slight hope. I'm not gonna lie and say it doesn't have something to do with some of the stuff I remember now in the trailer, but you touched upon the circle of surrender that happened earlier, and Maul pointing out, hey, we all have the common enemy. He does that a lot, and we mentioned recently on a show, season 7, him kind of like, oh, look at us, Ahsoka, teaming up. Paul Rudd on Hot Ones, look at us. Who would have thought? Look at us. And her being, I'm not here to team up. You're chaos. You're a distraction. It ain't want nothing to do with you. So I like that Maul has that in him, but with the Empire here, now there's a reality that all three of these parties have to face. Brander and what he represents for Janix and the authorities there, Sith, Maul and his Sith intentions and his crime syndicate, and then the Daki and Devin. The Empire's coming, So will we get a little bit of a team up, and will that muddy the waters even more? That's what I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so curious about how all of these different kind of three groups might unite or reunite. I'm not going to quote the trailer because I know some people don't watch the trailers, but there's a Master Docu line that I'm thinking about a lot. But I'm really curious about how Brander's going to like maybe the only good thing that happened in both these episodes is Brander and Docu kind of giving each other the head nod of like, we see each other, we're on the same side.
See,
and can they make anything of that? But it makes me wonder about how Brander is going to feel about Maul, and maybe this is where a little bit more of the morally gray Brander comes into place. Of like, the Empire is explicitly even worse than Maul, so maybe I'll go back and hat in hand and say, actually, can we make a deal and work together to get the Empire out of here, or not? So if Brander will try to use Maul against the Empire is, interesting to me. And then my other thing is, I don't think Master Docu is long for the world. Sadly, he's already injured. My sad fear is that he's killed by the Inquisitors, and I think it's because that's what would best position Devin to buy Maul's manipulation.
That's good.
Look, I'm just give in to your fear and pain and sadness and kill these Inquisitors. They killed your master. They're awful. They're the dark side. And I think that's an action then that she can give in fully to her vengeance and lie to herself that I'm defending people from the Inquisitors, but it can really be about like, you killed my master.
I really agree with that. I've said a couple times maybe she kills him, but that would be down the line. That would be after a turn. That'd be something completely different. I like the thematic connection you're pitching here of Maul would absolutely get to say, I told you.
Yeah.
You have the power. You could have stopped that if he let you. He doesn't let you.
Yeah. Or if Docu lets himself be killed because he thinks he's saving somebody else by doing it, that would also really work for Maul's manipulative argument of like, see, the Jedi are passive. He just let himself get stabbed like a punk,
What a waste. What a waste.
What a sad waste of a wise man with a cool head.
Yeah. Dino Jedi.
Dino Jedi just let himself die. All right. Final question here is, as always, is if we could have any merch inspired by these episodes, what would it be?
This has probably come up before. Just give me a Maul tea set.
The Maul tea set is good.
I don't even really drink tea. I know you drink tea more than me. I know others that do. Yeah, you got your Maul hat on, and you want some Maul tea.
Merch. Yeah. I'll sit in my Maul hat that I like to put on at the end of the episode today over the headphones.
That would be that's what's in a gift shop on the way out of Disney, right? Downtown Disney. Ooh, the Maul tea set. Oh, honey, we need that.
Cassius tea.
Yeah. We need that.
Yeah, I think there's a recipe for it, or not recipe. I think there's some version of it in some cookbook. Anyway, I think my serious answer is I want a Master Docu vintage figure, which hopefully they will get out soon. And then Ken, this might be stepping on your territory too much, and I apologize.
Please do.
I think maybe this is not really merch because it's a free product, but I think that Lucasfilm should put out videos where Maul's lightsaber does ASMR videos with that little chant, that little evil chant that makes the tickle go up your neck.
Let's get some Maul tingles. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And absolutely. I'm for it.
Excellent. All right. That is our big look at episodes 3 and 4 of Maul, Shadow Lord. Very excited to hear what other folks think in the chat. And that's it, Ken.
Yeah, and please comment down below. Jump into the Discord via Patreon to get in there. Just let us know on social media. You can find us at ForceCenter Pod. Patreon page is ForceCenter, patreon.com/ForceCenter. Trying to get to 400 paid supporters before The Mandalorian and Grogu hits theaters. And podcast is available in a lot of spots. Just search and find us. Don't forget, on Sundays, we re-release our show, Databank Brawl, and have some fun there. So there you go. Check out our merch stores. Like, subscribe, comment here on the YouTube side. Thanks for listening on the podcast side. And don't forget, you can follow us on our own adventures. Don't forget to seek out Jen Landa, though she is busy with school and other things. So maybe not putting as much stuff out there as she was, and we can't wait for her to return. But you can follow me at Ken Napzok or go to my website, kennapzok.com. I will say what month is this? May, February. May 24th at Flappers Comedy in Burbank. Details to come, 5 o'clock show, Yoo-Hoo Room. But Joseph and I will be anchoring a Star Wars-themed comedy show. So stay tuned for more details. But if you're local, come on out. Be a fun night indeed. So there you go.
Very excited for that. That sounds fantastic. And thank you for the invite, Ken. Yeah, you can follow me on all the social media, Joseph Scrimshaw. You can visit my YouTube page where I've been putting out more short films. I'd love some more subscribers and some more views on those short films. Some of them are pretty horrible, like Maul. Horror, not horrible in quality, in my opinion. But that's up to you to decide. Yeah, some horror. You're gonna be putting another one out soon in the next couple of weeks. So visit us there, and also look for more news about our horror film, feature film, Dead Media, hopefully coming soon.
There you go. All right, that is it. So for all the Nerf fillets out there in the galaxy, we'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.